Hello, welcome back to the channel. I am the Maize Man. Before we get started, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and share this with your friends on social media. Also, drop a comment in the comment section. Today, we are talking Michigan officially hiring a slew of coaches in an official capacity and the reaction from recruits around the country, plus a bona fide future star in Michigan target has Michigan in his top schools list. We'll talk about it, and of course,
I'm upset. No disrespect, respectfully, but disrespectfully, it's disrespect. Don't be disrespectful. Those vile, disgusting Spartans, poor little bro, man. And I'ma tell him where I'm at. That vile, disgusting cesspool in Columbus, the other state, and of course, as always, I'm upset.
Let me talk to you guys about an amazing opportunity. I recently partnered with Mint Mobile to bring you, the subscribers of this channel, the fans of this channel, the best possible service at the lowest possible prices. Let me tell you about it. Mint Mobile's service is on the nation's largest network, and they can offer these prices because they have no overhead, no brick and mortar stores, no lights, gas, water bills, none of that, just service to you. And the best part, you can bring over your current phones to Mint Mobile. I've been using this thing, running it through the paces, and it checks all the boxes. Use the link in the description portion of this video. Get yourself a Mint Mobile device now. Stay angry, my friend. Let's start with the coaching staff. Michigan officially hiring the Sharon Moore hires on the 8th, which is today. Sharon Moore and the Michigan Wolverines introduced the coaches that include defensive coordinator Wink Martindale, defensive line coach Greg Scruggs, linebackers coach Brian Jean-Marie, and defensive back coach Lamar Morgan. Let's start with the defensive coordinator, Wink Martindale. Of course, Martindale brings a plethora of NFL experience, and according to some, he is the architect of the defensive scheme that Michigan has been running so successfully in the last 3 or 4 years. So bringing Martindale in is a huge get for Moore. This is what he had to say about bringing on Coach Martindale. I'm excited to have Coach Martindale join our staff as defensive coordinator. He has coached Hall of Fame players, coordinated some of the best defenses in football, and his expertise and knowledge will help our players excel on the field. We are so excited to have the mentor to so many great defensive players and coaches join our staff at Michigan. That, again, huge pickup for Michigan considering what they've lost. They lost, of course, Jesse Minter, who went to the NFL with former head coach Jim Harbaugh. So getting Martindale, who, again, the architect of the defensive scheme that they've been running, is a great win for Michigan in that regard. In addition to Martindale, Sharon Moore also tapped Wisconsin for their defensive line coach, Greg Scruggs. Scruggs, of course, was a member, an NFL assistant defensive line coach for the New York Jets in 2022 before joining the Wisconsin Badgers. Before that, he was the defensive line coach for Cincinnati, the Bearcats, where he helped them to a 22-2 record over a 2-year span. So he has great knowledge of that Ohio area, especially that southwestern Ohio area. A lot of talent came out of there. A lot of talent continues to come out of that area, so that'll be a big help. We'll talk a little bit about what prospects have said about Greg Scruggs' hire in just a second. But first, this is what head coach Sharon Moore said about Greg Scruggs. Quote, "I have known Greg since our time together at Louisville and have always appreciated his drive and passion for the game. We have stayed in contact through the years, and I always knew that Greg would be a great leader and teacher for a program that I was fortunate enough to assemble. Greg is a great football coach and even better person. He will be an outstanding mentor to our players, especially the guys on the defensive line, and will help them achieve their football goals. So that is what head coach Sherrone Moore had to say about Greg Scruggs. Let's talk a little bit about what the recruits had to say about Greg Scruggs. Recruits like Jalen Williams, who Michigan does have crystal balls for. He's a 4-star defensive lineman. He had this to say about Scruggs and Michigan's hiring of Scruggs. He said, quote, "That's crazy. I still think it's a great improvement adding Scruggs. Me and Coach Scruggs have been really close as we built a really good relationship since he started recruiting me early in my sophomore year. So that's definitely big for Michigan." Great news there on that front from Williams, who after some departures, there were some questions on whether or not he was wavering in, the way he felt about Michigan, but great to hear that. Also, 5-star defensive lineman out of Oak Park, Illinois, Nathaniel Marshall, who is a 6'4", 265-pounder, had this to say about Michigan hiring Scruggs. He said, quote, "Yes, we've met and had good conversations. He'll be a good addition to all the pieces Michigan is putting together. He's just a good guy, easy to talk to, and will bring good energy." So again, couple 4- and 5-star guys with high marks on Michigan's hiring of Scruggs. He also has scholarship offers from the likes of Miami, the other state, Alabama, Notre Dame, Penn State, and more. So that's going to be a very tough recruiting battle for Michigan either way, but great to hear him have some positive things to say about Greg Scruggs. We move on. Next up, we'll talk about linebackers coach Brian Jean-Marie. Marie has 23 years of coaching experience. He's coached in 19 bowl games, 4 conference championships, or been a part of 4 conference championship winning teams, and is an ace recruiter by all accounts. Michigan was able to pull him from the Tennessee Volunteers. Of course, he did have a tenure at Michigan in the 2020 season. It was short-lived, but during that span, he helped Josh Ross, Michael Barrett, and McGrone all lead that linebacker unit. It was a season worth forgetting otherwise, but he has shown a capacity to help the linebacker unit. In addition to that, he's also had 10 players drafted in the NFL. Of course, McGrone heard his name. Cameron McGrone from Michigan heard his name back in 2021 in the 5th round. He's also coached the likes of Preston Brown and Calvin Pryor, Johnny Patrick, Marcus Smith, just to name a few. And again, considered an ace recruiter, especially on the defensive side of the ball and at linebacker specifically. This is what Sherrone Moore had to say about Brian Jean-Marie. Brian's been a part of my coaching network for many years. He's a great coach and communicator that I've been fortunate enough to work with and learn from at 2 different schools, Louisville and Michigan, of course. Brian is an outstanding recruiter and developer of players, and I am really excited to have him lead our linebacking core. He is familiar with our program in Michigan and will jump right back in and make a major contribution to our team and program. So great to have Brian Jean-Marie back in A2. The final member of that coaching staff, Lamar Morgan, he will be the defensive backs coach for Michigan. He comes from the University of Louisiana, where he played as well. This was his second stint as a coach for Louisiana, this time as a defensive coordinator and secondary coach the last 2 seasons. Before that, he was there in 2019 and 2020. All 4 years, by the way, the Ragin' Cajuns had double-digit interceptions in that secondary. So Lamar Morgan, another young, vibrant coach that Michigan should do well with. He should also help on that recruiting trail, having knowledge of the South. So that is a big plus for Michigan. And this is what Coach Moore had to say about Lamar Morgan. Lamar is someone that I've enjoyed getting to know through this process. He came highly recommended by Jesse Minter, and I saw why he is respected as a top-notch defensive backs coach. during our conversations. He is an excellent teacher and communicator, and his passion for football and for helping young men achieve their goals showed through in his interview. I'm excited to have Lamar mentoring our defensive secondary and coordinating the passing game. So those are the coaches that were introduced today. Hopefully they can continue to keep that Michigan defense humming right along. I have no doubt about it. Sharon Moore has made great hires, I'm sure of it. And a bit of breaking news since recording this video, Michigan running back coach Mike Hart, Michigan legend, will not be returning to the University of Michigan as the running backs coach next season or this upcoming season. That is a bit of devastating news. Hopefully it doesn't affect Jordan Marshall, Micah Kaipana, and those guys. But sad news nonetheless to hear that a Michigan legend, Michigan man, won't be returning to the sidelines this season. There were rumblings all along that he felt a little slighted about not getting some of the recognition or looks for offensive coordinator and things like that. So we'll keep you posted, but this is not great news. But hopefully Michigan can weather this storm. Stay angry. Let's talk a little bit about some Michigan recruiting efforts. Let's start with linebacker Luke Metz out of Houston, Georgia, Mill Creek High School in the 2025 class. Metz just got that Michigan offer from Brian Jean-Marie, and he is already speaking about it. He is listed as a 3-star on 24/7, but by all accounts is an absolute beast on the field. He had this to say: Coach BJ, speaking of Brian Jean-Marie, reached out and called me. Super excited. I love Michigan, and obviously I was a little more fired up because it's the champs. I'm one of their top guys. They really like the way I play and how physical I am. I was the very first guy he called since he's been at Michigan. If that says anything, I just didn't post my offer until a lot later in the day. He went on to say, I'm super interested in Michigan. I love the coaches and my relationship with BJ. They run it like an NFL program at Michigan. It's just different. So Michigan, very, very high on his list. He's a 6'3", 220-pounder. Really hits like a ton of bricks. Luke Metz, keep that name in your mental Rolodex for the future. We'll keep you posted as more information becomes available on his recruiting. Have you ever asked yourself, why am I paying so much for cell phone service? I'm sure you have. I know I have. And I have a solution for you in the form of Mint Mobile. Use the description in the video here. Check out Mint Mobile's plans. You can get unlimited service for as low as $15 a month. That is not a gimmick. Trust me. Stay in. We'll end it with the recruitment of a Detroit native. That is none other than Alex Graham. Originally from Detroit, now playing for IMG Academy in Bradenton, Florida. He announced his top schools list, and those included Alabama, Colorado, Georgia, Michigan, Oregon, Penn State, and Utah. He has visited so far Alabama, Penn State, Oregon, Utah, and Michigan. He had this to say: there were some coaching changes, and that impacted me a little bit, but I'm building new relationships with coaches. I have some strong relationships with coaches too, so that factored in to some schools being on the list. The overall program, who the schools have put into the NFL, the development, and who wins games were big factors too. He is a 6', 185-pounder, and like I said, a superstar in the area, and now bringing his talents down to IMG in Bradenton. He said, quote, when I commit, what will be important are the coaches, the degree the school offers, the player development. So that is what he had to say about the overall in his recruitment. He had this to say specifically about Michigan. Quote, the visit went well on February 7th. I was able to have a great conversation with head coach Sharon Moore. He's a really great guy. I feel as if the program is in great hands and is going to remain a top contender in college football with him leading it. Michigan is still a top school. I'll wait and see who they bring in. And now, of course, he knows who they've brought in at his position. Lamar Morgan, he knows who the DC will be, Wink Martindale. So hopefully they reach out to Alex Graham ASAP and begin creating those relationships. Anyway, follow me everywhere at Maize Madman. Be sure to check me out every other Sunday on the Week Zero channel, as I will be doing a Minute with the Madman over there. Be sure to check here for the Bluetooth lives. We'll be going Bluetooth probably tonight. So be there live tonight. I'll say around 8 o'clock Bluetooth. So until next time, stay angry, my friends. I'm upset.
Ladies and gentlemen, this might be our best season ever. My ratings, they're about to go through the roof.
All right, now I'ma calm down. Son. I just don't get that all that Mace and that lock and all that. I just don't get it, son.
Just calm
And how the